What is good, Raider Nation, man? Um, I was not planning to go live until 6 o'clock. Uh, the plans changed on me here just the last 30 minutes or so. I was going to have a special guest in Kenny King Jr. here, and unfortunately, he's not going to be able to make it. So, with that, we're going to shift over and we're going to talk about the Raiders, specifically about OTAs and some of the things that we've kind of been seeing. Man, I'm gonna just wait here a second for everybody to kind of hop on here. Uh, Chemo from Kalihi, and I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Sanjit, the 20-minute OTA video got me waiting on that breakdown for reals. I appreciate that, man, because I was thinking about doing that for this video here. I kind of wanted to go live and share that video at the same time. But then I decided like I'd rather just wait a day or so and maybe do that in the morning tomorrow. It's crazy because I have a super busy week coming up. But I definitely plan to do that breakdown because that's, there's a lot of stuff in that. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about that in this video here. Again, Kenny King will not be joining me here, but I appreciate the comment. Got our first super chat of the day from Cool Zay 1995. Huge shout out to you, Cool Zay. You're always here. You're a super cool dude. I really appreciate it, man. You said, dude, I'm so pumped up for this season. I am too, man. I'm so fired up, man. You know what's crazy is this is the one season that I feel like we've had so many seasons where like we're pumped up. We're like, all right, we're gonna go into this season. We're gonna have a good year. We'll be a good team. But I feel like this year's just different. I don't know. There's just a different vibe I'm getting to this season as opposed to some of the other seasons in the past. Like, not only are the rookies good rookie players, but more than that, like our veterans are going to take that step, like within the John Gruden system, right? Derek Carr is not the only experienced player in John Gruden's system, right? Now we have Waller and Renfro and Ruggs and Edwards and all these other guys that at this point are experienced in John Gruden's system. And that's only going to make our team better, right? So always keep in mind, this is the year, man. And you heard it first on Sanjit T's YouTube channel. I want to get into some of these comments, man, before we jump into the content of this video. In this video specifically, we will be talking about OTAs. A video dropped yesterday. Another video dropped today. It's a 20-minute video. I don't know the exact channel that it dropped on, but I will break that video down tomorrow, and we'll talk a little bit about that video specifically because that video revealed much more than what the Raiders put out yesterday. And we got some pressers as well, and we're going to really discuss those pressers here. A comment, I saw this same comment earlier. Is training camp free, and how can one attend? Training camp is not free. I don't think it is. I think, and don't quote me, I believe it's like you have to be a season ticket holder to go. Maybe that's not correct. And training camp there's only a small part of the whole offseason that's open to the fans. I'm sure someone else can probably answer that a little bit better. Shout out to you for being a new subscriber. I really, really, really appreciate it. I really appreciate the kind words, Clyden. Really appreciate you saying that. There's so many great shows out there. So I appreciate you stumbling upward. Shout out to you for being a member. A kicker showdown. I'm not 100% sure what that refers to. But I'm pumped up because we have a lot of good stuff we're going to talk about. Let's just jump into this, man. Let's jump right into this. And let's talk a little bit about the OTAs, man. Let's talk about players that aren't specifically there. We'll talk about two first, and then we'll talk about two a little bit later. If you guys are tuned in right now, I see there's about 70 of you guys. Hit that thumbs up button. It really does help this channel grow. At the same time, we're going to get into a ton of topics, specifically some of the things that were said. I want to give you guys my thoughts and opinions. At the same time, I want to know what you guys think. So let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think about my thoughts and opinions. Let me know what your guys' thoughts and opinions are. That way we can go back and forth. We can interact. I go live every Wednesday and every Sunday, 5 to 6, sometime in between that time. And we make a video every day here on this channel. So don't forget to subscribe. With that being stated, Yannick Ngakoue and Quentin Jefferson were not at OTAs. Some people were very disappointed with that. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I was very disappointed as well. And I know a lot of people might not necessarily care either, right? I know like the players don't care, right? I think Maxx Crosby was the guy that mentioned Yannick Ngakoue not being at OTAs. He mentioned that today in his pressers, right? He was talking about how him and Yannick Ngakoue text and they talk and they go back and forth. But he also mentioned how they know the same people. He mentioned that basically he's not here today, right? He let it out, which isn't a big deal because truth be told, we had media people at the facilities today. We had people in Las Vegas, right? Today was the one and only practice that's open to the public. And we got some good clips, some good videos out there on social media. And I will break down all of those. And we'll talk a little bit about those as well. But Yannick Ngakoue is not here, man. How do you guys feel about that? Like, is it a big deal? Is it not a big deal? So here's why I think it is a big deal, right? Richie Incognito talked a little bit about it. But basically, I believe it's a big deal because when you have a team, you need chemistry. You need your tackles to meet your guards. You need your linebackers to meet your safeties. You have to understand each other. But more than that, you have to be comfortable with each other, man. You have to know one another. You have to understand how one another thinks. I believe it was Maxx Crosby or Cleveland Pro. One of these guys today literally made the point. They said that last year specifically, last year there was no training camp. There was, everything was via Zoom. So when preseason week 1 came around, when the official game came around, you didn't even know the guy playing next to you because it was the first time you ever met him. You weren't able to have face-to-face interactions. And I'm very thankful that that the Raiders in Nevada specifically, they're allowing the teams to be open. They're allowing those guys to kind of do things however they want, because I don't know how it's like in California for the teams specifically. But I know California as a state's much more strict, right? We're still on some lockdowns, right? Even though we're opening up, there are still a lot of lockdowns in California. Certain businesses are restricted. Gyms literally just opened up a week ago or less than a month ago, maybe like 2 weeks ago. Think about that. Like for a year and 2 months, you weren't even able to work out. Colton Miller literally told me that he stayed in Nevada for the sole purpose that at least he's able to work out there. He knew that coming to California, he can't work out. Players are considering these things and they're thinking about these things. And I'm glad that Nevada is allowing the Raiders to kind of, have a normal offseason, or at least try to continue with that. Because as Maxx Crosby mentioned in his presser, it does make a difference. So when Yannick Ngakoue and Quinton Jefferson are skipping OTAs, it is definitely, it definitely makes you think. It definitely makes you wonder, because you do want these guys to be there. Yannick Ngakoue and Quinton Jefferson, it's their first year in with the Raiders and playing around Max and Cleveland and Jonathan Hankins. It's the first time these guys are going to get to meet these guys and work with these guys, right? If you've already been with these guys in the past and you look at it like, hey, we know these guys, it's not a big deal, that's fine. If you know the system, that's fine. But this is a new season, a new system. Richie Incognito talked about it, about how big of a deal it is to be able to meet with these guys, have that team atmosphere, build chemistry. And the reports are that most of the team is basically at OTAs. Yannick Ngakoue and Quinton Jefferson were two guys that were not. Two other guys that were not spotted, Divine Diablo and Josh Jacobs. Now, take this one with a grain of salt. This one's not confirmed. This is just something that I was told. But it kind of makes sense. I've watched now 2 videos of practice. I have yet to see either of these guys there. Now, there were pictures of Divine Diablo yesterday on the Raiders website. But I do believe that Diablo, I believe those pictures were actually from Monday. So I don't really know. Either way, it is interesting. Now, this was more of they weren't practicing. It wasn't necessarily that they weren't necessarily at OTAs, but either way, I know it is voluntary. Someone said that, Gilbert said they're voluntary workouts, right? They are voluntary, absolutely. But the thing is, teams have to work together to make a Super Bowl run, right? If you've ever been on a team, and I'm sure a lot of you guys watching this video have been on a team, whether it's basketball, football, soccer, whatever team it may be, You guys know that when you're at practice every single day, those interactions you have with one another, when you're pushing the guy next to you and he's pushing you back to become great, all that stuff carries on onto the field, into the actual game. All of that stuff makes a difference. So when guys like Josh Jacobs isn't practicing or Diablo isn't practicing, and I don't know if they're not practicing or if they're not necessarily at OTAs. If they're not there, if they're not practicing, but they're at the facilities, that's different. As opposed to Yannick Ngakoue and Quentin Jefferson, they're just not there, right? So that one's a little bit more of a concern. It's a little bit more of a bigger deal, in my personal opinion, because I want these guys there, man. I want them there. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. I already see some of your guys' comments. Juan is saying they probably have a legit excuse. And here's the one thing I will say, right? I would say about 2 or 3 weeks ago, the Raiders voted and said, hey, we're not going to attend voluntary OTAs. At the same time, the NFL Players Association was pushing players saying, do not go to OTAs. It's voluntary. Skip it. And the NFLPA was pushing it, man. There was obviously, I don't know if a lot of people caught this. There was some beef going on between the NFLPA and the actual NFL with the whole OTA situation, because the NFL wanted OTAs. The NFLPA said no. The NFLPA told all their players to vote and say no, and the Raiders voted and said no. Obviously, something shifted in the last week because the Raiders got back together and they decided we are going to attend OTAs, which is great, man. If other teams are attending OTAs, why would you not attend OTAs? It gives you that competitive advantage to attend, right? I think those were the exact words that Richie Incognito used. We have another super chat. This one comes from Coolzay 1995. How long do you think the Raiders will keep the GOAT, Nathan Peterman? Haha. And you think Carr will go off for an MVP season? I say 4,700 yards, 33 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Let me know what you guys think with Coolzay 1995. Do you think it's possible that Carr goes off and has an MVP type season? I'm going to answer your first question. The GOAT, Nathan Peterman, will be around as long as John Gruden's here, man. I don't know why we call him the GOAT. I have no idea, but we call Nathan Peterman the GOAT. Even though he's the complete opposite of the GOAT, we still call him that. But Derek Carr, I think, will have a career year. I don't know if it'll be better than 2016, because 2016 was a fantastic year before, obviously, he got hurt. 4,700 yards, I think it's realistic, man. I think this is the year that Derek Carr is going to spread the ball out. I think this is the year that he's going to take those shots, because he's going to have his second year with Brian Edwards and Henry Ruggs, his third year with Waller and Renfro. How many times has Derek Carr in the last 5 to 6 years had a receiver going into year 2? A receiver, right? Not necessarily a tight end. And even tight end, like outside of Darren Waller, like how many tight ends have kind of like went one year to the next is a completely different tight end? Derek Carr doesn't have consistent weapons, and I complained about this in my video yesterday. I talked about it with Andy when I went live on his show. I believe that was Monday. I talked about it, man. Derek Carr does not have consistent wide receivers, and that makes such a big difference for any quarterback. But we had Amari Cooper, Michael Crabtree, and Seth Roberts, 3 good receivers, right? That at that time specifically, and Derek Carr had a career year. Outside of that, what receivers have we given Derek Carr? And I know we always say, get him a good O-line, get him a defense and all that. Get him some offensive weapons, man. I know Darren Waller's a good offensive weapon, but tight ends aren't wide receivers, right? They're different. They line up differently. Generally, their routes are harder, especially if they're in a 3-point stance. They come off the line of scrimmage a little bit slower. I think that makes a difference, right? Either way, I want to know what you guys think about this comment here. I appreciate every single one of you guys. If you guys can do me a favor and just hit that thumbs up button, it really does help this video a ton. It allows other Raider fans to also see this content. And if you guys are not already subscribed, make sure to subscribe, man. We have live videos twice a week, and we make film breakdowns, and we get over all the greatest and latest Raider news every single day. 2 reasons why free agents don't want to play for teams in California. 1, mandates are ridiculous and no longer necessary. 2, the tax structure. This benefits LV. I could not disagree with that comment. That's such a great comment. And, I would have loved for the Raiders to stay in Oakland because I live in the Bay Area. Even when I lived up in Sacramento, for those of you guys that aren't familiar with Northern California, Sacramento to Oakland's an hour and 45-minute drive, maybe even less than that. Like, it's not that far of a drive. So we're able to, at any point, go to the Raiders games. And I loved having that advantage. But I did hear that players don't want to be in California, solely for the reason that in a 7 to 10 year career for any NFL player, you're going to make more money than you will for every other year of outside of your NFL career. Like, combined, you will make more money in that 7 years because you'll make $4 million playing in the NFL versus you'll make $115,000 doing anything else, like max, right? And the last thing players want to do is give that money up in taxes. California is going to take 20 to 30% of that in income tax. Las Vegas, Nevada specifically, they don't have income tax. So anything you make from, for like Derek Carr, he's going to get $20 million. He keeps all $20 million. All right. So players love that. Josh Jacobs, if you guys had never heard the story, Josh Jacobs deferred his payout. His rookie guaranteed bonus, he deferred it 1 year from his rookie year to his second year for the sole reason he wanted to save tax. I don't remember the exact amount, but he saved the millions of dollars, right? And that's the kind of stuff and that's the kind of things that hold people back from coming to California. The mandates are ridiculous, and I couldn't disagree with you, man. I live in California. It's crazy, man, to do business in California, to live in California. Just the whole COVID pandemic, like, there's such a big difference, specifically like from the Bay Area to Sacramento. Sacramento is much more relaxed. And of course, the Raiders were in Oakland, which falls within the Bay Area. Either way, let's jump forward, man. People are mentioning, bro, you see how swole Malcolm Kuntz looked? I actually have not looked at him specifically, but Todd Clement says Diablo looked swole. And I did see Diablo, and he absolutely looked swole, man. It is interesting because these guys look good right now, right? And I was on Raid the Tapes show earlier, and we're talking about how when the offseason comes to an end, when OTAs comes, players are going to look swole. They're going to look ripped. Derek Carr every year looks super ripped right when the season starts. And every player, as the season goes on, they kind of get like weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker. And the reason why is because when you're playing 17, 18 weeks of NFL football, you're not working out the same way, right? Instead of putting the effort into getting stronger, you're putting more effort into recovering. And that's a big part of NFL, right? After a game on Sunday, a running back can barely walk on Monday, right? Linemen are limping on Monday. You're recovering. You're not going and working out, as opposed to in the offseason, you're working out every freaking day, right? So, yeah, guys are going to definitely look swoller right now. Bearded Gunny said Ruggs will have 1K plus yards. Do you guys agree with that? That's interesting. Ruggs definitely looks stronger as well. People have talked about how much effort he's put into the offseason. I see it already, man. You can visibly tell. He looked much skinnier last season. This season, he does not look like the same player. Will Ruggs have 1,000 yards? It's possible. It is possible. I think ultimately Ruggs won't have 1,000 yards. Maybe he'll have like 800 or 900. It's for the sole reason that we're not really a passing team, right? Like, Ruggs might have 800 yards. Waller might have like 1,300 yards. Our running backs combined might have like 300-400. Renfro might have 500-600, and then you have all the other running back receivers that'll have like 300 to 600 yards. So I don't know if Ruggs will hit 1,000, but if he does, that means Carr's having a great season. And I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. We have another super chat. Edward left a $2 super chat. Do we involve Mariota more this year, third and fourth downs? That's a great point. I want to know what you guys think about that, because I talked about this with Raiders Football Talk. The Raiders did not put any packages in for Marcus Mariota, and is that a mistake? Is it a mistake not to give Marcus the ball more? Why not run read options and run pass options and all this good stuff? Why not do that more with someone like Marcus Mariota? Well, here's the thing, right? Last year specifically, I feel like John Gruden didn't necessarily want to get the film out of Mariota, not for the reason of, we're going to replace Derek Carr, but more so for the reason that Gruden might have looked at it like, if Mariota does have to come in if Carr gets hurt, at the same time, Mariota has some trade value. If there's a team that might need a quarterback midpoint during the season. Maybe they'll give us a second-round pick for Mariota. So for those reasons, I feel like Gruden didn't want to utilize him more. At the same time, for a quarterback, rhythm's a big part of playing quarterback, right? You can't just come in and throw the ball once and then get off the field. If you're going to throw the ball, you want to, warm up before a game and then get into the game and start making those passes, right? The second throw, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth throw, it keeps that rhythm going. For Mariota to come in and throw the ball, maybe run a read option and then hurry it up and then try to throw the ball one time in a game, it's going to lead to an interception, man. You have to have that rhythm, in my personal opinion. I do think that the Raiders would be wise to use Mariota more. I don't know exactly how you do it, and I know people mention Taysom Hill as an example, but Taysom Hill is a different player. Taysom Hill is like a tight end, or he's not a real quarterback, right? Marcus Mariota is a real quarterback. Taysom Hill will lower his shoulder and he will hit you. Marcus Mariota is going to slide, right? Marcus Mariota does not want to get hit. So there is a difference in that right there, right? Someone mentioned Patrick, member of this channel, huge shout out to you. Ferrell looked bigger too, and I saw that too. Did you guys see that? Like Cleveland Ferrell, especially his chest, man. His chest looked bigger, and I really want to see how all that translates to the field, because no matter what, Cleveland has to get it done. It does not matter how much stronger he gets. None of that matters. Now, Cleveland Ferrell did have his presser, and if you guys didn't watch the presser, go watch the presser. But Cleveland Ferrell specifically talked, he was asked, like, what do you want to improve on? What was your goal? What do you expect out of your season this year? Cleveland Ferrell mentioned how he expects to basically have more production, right? Doing it against offensive linemen in practice, doing it, once every 10 to 30 plays. That stuff's not going to cut it. And we agree. I know all of you guys agree with me. That's not going to cut it. We need consistency from Cleveland Ferrell. And if he can't bring the consistency, it's really going to take a step back, in my opinions, of what I think of Cleveland Ferrell. Consistency is a big deal. And he also mentioned his football IQ, which was interesting. I don't know if he kind of misspoke, because the question was something related to, like, what do you want to show, or what do you want to improve on? And he said something about his football IQ, and I wasn't sure if he kind of misspoke there. But when I watch Cleveland Ferrell, I see a guy that understands the game of football, a guy who has a good football IQ, a guy who's aware of his situations, his surroundings. I do want to talk. I do have a couple of things I want to talk to. I do want to just jump forward and get into it. Richie Incognito talked a little bit about Andre James and something about busting heads. I don't know if you guys caught that comment. I think his exact thing was busting heads. Here's the thing. Richie Incognito is a leader for the Raiders, right? He is such a great player to have on this roster. And the crazy thing is he's 38 years old, and he doesn't look 38. And I know he got hurt last year, and the injury was a really, really bad injury. I know people are concerned about the fact that he tore his Achilles. But I do think that if there's one player that can come back, if there's one position at the age of 38 that could come back outside of quarterback, I think it's guard. I think guard is a position where people could play when they're 37, 38 years old. Because when healthy, 2 years ago, Richie Incognito looked great. And I know he hasn't finished a full 16-game season in any of the last 2 years. But I do still think that there's still an intangible part that Richie Incognito brings. The leadership skills, right? The way he thinks, the way he practices. I think he mentioned something to the tune of basically he was busting heads. He goes full speed in practice. He sets the tone. And he says something to the tune of it rubs off on other people. And that's such an important part, because what you do in practice is what you're going to do on the field. It could be OTAs. It could be in the weight room. It could be in training camp, right? What you do in practice is what's going to carry you out onto the field. And the fact that he goes hard and he's setting the tone, because when he does that, when he goes full speed and the coaches get pumped up and give Richie his praise, that makes Alex Leatherwood want to make a block. That makes Andre James want to make a block, right? That makes all these other guys want to step their game up. And this is why I really feel like it could be a fantastic fit for the Raiders, man, with Richie Incognito right there. Now, another thing I noticed today was from left tackle to right tackle, Richie Incognito was playing left guard, Colton at left tackle, center was Andre James, right guard was Denzel Good, right tackle was Alex Leatherwood. So we saw what our starting offense line is. The whole entire offseason, we're kind of going back and forth. We knew for the most part what it would be, left tackle to right tackle, but we did go back and forth recently, especially saying that maybe John Simpson starts at right guard and Good is just going to be a backup. Not only did Richie Incognito say, not only did he say that basically Denzel Good is now going to be the starter, I actually saw the video, right? I'll have a breakdown of it tomorrow. We'll have a breakdown of it. And there was a 20-minute video that got that dropped on YouTube today from one of the guys. I want more. I want more of those videos, man. The type of content that the Raiders put out there, I'm not digging it, man. The video the Raiders put out a couple days ago, I'm not into it. I see some people saying stop spamming. I see someone asking a question a number of times. Either way, let's jump forward, man. Let's just get back into this. Richie Incognito also talked a little bit about Andre James. He talked about his potential. He talked about his hard work. He talked about the fact that he's flexible. He was a tackle in college, and now he's obviously a center. Richie Incognito had a lot of good words to say about Andre James. And the thing I love about having Richie in there at guard is he's going to not only help Colton, which he already has tremendously, but he's going to help Andre James, right? The guy that needs it most right now is Andre James. It's not Alex Leatherwood and it's not Colton Miller. Richie Incognito is going to have the biggest impact on Andre James's career. If Andre James is who we think he is, I think Richie Incognito is going to take it to that much of a higher standard. Someone said a dude named Top Billing has a good video on Alex Leatherwood. I shared that video, I think, today or yesterday. Top Billing is someone that I follow on Instagram, or I take it back on Twitter. I've talked to him a couple times on Twitter via DMs. We've shared some all 22 film back and forth. He has a great channel. He had Alex Leatherwood as his number one offensive tackle. So, yeah, man. Another great comment. William said, Raiders channel is trash for actual Raiders content, which is just plain weird. It really is, man. For as much access these guys have, it's crazy how bad at times they are, right? Because they have so much access and they can put so much good content out there and they don't do it. Like, stop putting all this crazy production and just record the freaking offensive lineman for an hour straight and just put that up, man. That's all we need to see, right? We don't need to see all the production. Dick Vitale, a huge shout out to you, man. I really appreciate you mentioning this. I know a couple other people mentioned it as well. Did I see the much longer video of OTAs? I did, and I plan to break it down tomorrow. So what's crazy is I'm going on a trip tomorrow at noon. I'll be leaving here. I have 2 film studies already done that are uploaded. They'll drop Friday and Saturday. I wanted to do another video of talking about some of the news, and now I have this video I have to do too. So I'll have 2 videos I'll have to pump out tomorrow. So I'll be up at like 5 a.m. in the morning. So I do appreciate the comment. I really do, especially for letting me know that video's out there. I definitely plan to do that. Hey, Sanjit, keeping it 100. I appreciate you, Chef B, man. I really appreciate the fact that you're a member. If you guys aren't members to the channel, I put out a ton of members-only content. Basically, I'll do film breakdowns and stuff like that, and just extra stuff. Maybe I'll post some videos, of me on vacation or something like that, right? Who knows? I might just throw some random stuff in there. But that'll be members only. Basically, you just hit the join button down below. Chef B, I really appreciate the fact that you're a member. Kevin Lurker said, who is really the best football player? Just showing support, brother. I really appreciate that, man. So let me give you guys the backstory on this really quickly. I was on Raid the Tapes channel like literally 2 hours ago, and Kevin Lurker asked the question, Sanjit, who was the better football player, you or Raid the Tape? Because for those of you guys that don't know, Raid the Tape is another content creator on this on YouTube. He makes Raiders content. Me and Raid the Tape played football together. We played, I think, 3 seasons together, and then I think he transferred to a school in Sacramento. And Kevin Lurker asked who is the better football player between Raid the Tape and myself. Obviously, we do play different positions, or we did play different positions. I was a guard and he was a corner. So different positions. But I will say this, man, Raid the Tape was a fantastic football player. He was a really good football player. So yeah, that's all I'll kind of say on that. But I do appreciate the super chat. I do appreciate the comment. Mike left a comment. Who do you think is a liability on defense? That's such a great question. And I really want to know what you guys think about this. Like, I really want to know what you guys think about this, because I don't know what our liability on defense is. I know some people might say maybe it's like Arnett, maybe it's Mullen. And I don't know if Mullen would necessarily be the guy that you guys are going to think is a liability. And I really don't know what the liability is. Maybe it's like our linebackers in pass coverage. Corey Littleton potentially trying to cover like Travis Kelce, right? You guys remember how badly he got his ass kicked against the Chiefs when we played him last year? Liability is tough. Now, I will say this. Trayvon Merrick has to step his game up. He has to adjust to the game speed. And we have to see what he's going to be like as a true free safety. It'll be on Merrick to make those adjustments. And he's only a rookie, so I don't expect him to be an all-pro, Pro Bowler in year one. At the same time, Arnett's going to year 2 and Mullen's going to year 3. So those two guys, and it's not the same comparison because Mullen has an extra year. I expect more from Mullen. If Mullen's ever going to be an all-pro football player or a Pro Bowl football player, this is the year he's going to prove it. Arnett, we'll see where he's at in terms of development, but next year will be the year he'll have to prove it. We have a lot of guys that need to prove it, right? So I don't know if it's necessarily a liability. I would say our pass rush could be a liability as like a unit. That's what's going to absolutely have to really step up this year and prove it. A lot of people are talking about Lawson. Some people are saying you guys think Lawson's going to be a liability. Some people are saying Lawson needs to be cut. Well, here's the thing, man. If our defense, Mullen, Arnett, Casey Hayward, if these guys step up, Rasul Douglas, maybe Lawson's not even on the roster. Maybe Lawson gets cut, right? And that'll be the best case scenario because that means that these other guys are better than Lawson. And Lawson played a ton for us last year, right? So if Lawson gets cut, that means we're in a better position now than we were last year. A lot of people, and I really want to touch on this, is Maxx should have the strength this year. So a lot of people are kind of talking about Maxx Crosby not being that strong, right? Not showing the improvements that they felt he should have shown. And I want to talk about that. But before we get into it, hit that thumbs up button, man. There's over 300 of you guys here. I love and appreciate every single one of you guys. Hit that thumbs up button. It really does help this channel grow. Let's talk about Maxx Crosby. I know you guys seen the pictures. I know you guys have seen the videos. Maxx Crosby is not ripped at all. He's skinnier. He's not bulky. Me and Ray the Tape talked about this, and Ray the Tape made a good point. He said that some people are just not genetically built like that. And I agree with him. But at the same time, another thing you guys have to keep in mind is outside of being built a certain way, Maxx Crosby also had some injuries that he was rehabbing, right? So he didn't have the full offseason. And another point, when did the Raiders season end? Like, when was our last game? Was it at the end of December or was it in the beginning of January? I can't remember exactly when our season ended, but it's been, 5 months since the season's ended. That's not that long of a time. I've been working out for 5 months now, right? And I'm nowhere near where I was when I was in high school, right? I squatted, I think, 275. I used to squat over 400 pounds in high school. I've been working out for 5 months, and I haven't been able to get back to that weight where I was at, right? So Maxx Crosby in 4 months might not be able to get to where he was, maybe going into his second year, right? He does obviously have to rehab. He has to make sure his shoulder and his hand and his arms and all that good stuff is healthy before he can start working out again. Either way, I do think another thing is technique, in my opinion, is much more important than strength. Right? You can be the strongest guy out there. Solomon Thomas is a great example. Great body type, great strength, great speed off the line of scrimmage, but he's terrible when it comes to utilizing his hands, and that's kind of been his Achilles heel. Right? That's why he hasn't been able to transition his game to that next step. Now, I will say that in his third year specifically, he was playing defensive end, which does hinder a defensive tackle, right? First and second year, he was playing defensive tackle. Year 3, they put him in that defensive end, and he's not a defensive end. And then, obviously, in his 4th year, he tore his ACL. Don't quote me on that, but he did get hurt. So, yeah, there's definitely a lot that is happening in OTAs. There's a lot that's coming out. There's a full 20-minute video. Our offensive linemen are as clear cut, and I'm going to break that down. But that'll be tomorrow. Mason Thomas at the $10 super chat. So huge shout out to you. I really appreciate that. Doc Holliday said, I think Arnett is ball out. Will ball out. I think is what you meant. I agree, man. I think Arnett's going to have himself a year. And I've said this before in the past. I think Arnett has a higher ceiling than Trayvon Mullen. I think Arnett might be better than Trayvon Mullen. And I know that's not the popular opinion. I know a lot of people might not necessarily agree with that. If you guys disagree with that, right? If you guys think Damon Arnett is not better than Trayvon Mullen, because I've said I think Arnett's better, tell me why in the comments below. Tell me why you guys think Arnett is not better than Trayvon Mullen. And I hope that it's you guys have watched the film and you guys have watched 40 plays back to back to back to back, and you guys have actually come up with that opinion, because I've done that, and I've came up with my opinion that I think Arnett could be a better player. Now, I'm not saying he necessarily played better than Mullen last year, but at the same time, Mullen was in his second season last year and Arnett was in his rookie season, and that's a big difference, right? We'll obviously see how these guys, kind of come out this year. A lot of you guys are saying, Isaiah said, yeah, I got faith in Arnett. Some fans hate on him, I think. I do think some people do hate on Arnett a little bit, and I'm not sure why that is. I put a tweet out before the Raiders drafted Arnett that Arnett looked better than Jeff Okudah. And obviously, I know Jeff Okudah was like a third, fourth overall pick, or however high he went in the draft. But Arnett at times played better than him. And I know Arnett is up there in age. Age does not matter in the NFL. It's not about the age. It's about the number of years a player plays. Let me expand on that. If Arnett plays 7 years from 25 to 32, and Mullen plays 7 years from 22 to 29, they're both played 7 years, right? The fall off typically is after the number of years. Sometimes there's corners that play a little bit longer. Charles Woodson played a real long time. So I don't think necessarily age is that big of a deal. Being 21, being 24, I don't think is that big of a deal. Playing years is what matters, right? The usage your body takes. You look at running backs, some can come in at some have success when they hit 26 and they'll have 4 good years. Some 21, they'll have 4 good years, and that's it. That's their whole entire career. And that's running backs, right? Either way, I do agree with Leon here. Leon or Leon, not 100% sure, and I apologize. Mullen puts himself in good position for turnovers really well, but I like Arnett, and I think he will be good and start on the outside for us. Trayvon Mullen does have one thing I absolutely love, and that's Trayvon Mullen's very aggressive. Trayvon Mullen knows how to intercept passes, or at least jump passes to possibly intercept. I think Mullen will have 4 interceptions this year, like maybe even more, because Trayvon Mullen knows how to jump routes. He understands it, and it's very clear. It's very evident. He gets his hands on the ball. Obviously, Arnett had a cast on, right, and that's going to impact his ability as well. But Williams said, I think Arnett is more aggressive, but Mullen is a better man coverage corner, but not by much. And that's probably true, right? That is probably true. Jesse, huge shout out to you for being a member. I really appreciate it. You said Arnett. Some are saying neither one is locked down, and I don't disagree, man. Either way, you can go either way. You can go with one or the other. At the end of the day, Watts Raider might be right. They are not fighting for the same spot, and that is a fact, right? That is a fact. They play different positions. One plays the left corner slot, the other plays the right corner slot, and it'll probably stay that way, right? And I think ultimately Casey Hayward Jr. will be the guy to rotate in. I don't think they're going to not start Mullen and Arnett, and I don't think any of those 3 guys play the slot. I don't think our corners, those 3 specific, are slot corners, and we've talked about this in the past. Mullen and Hayward is starting at cornerback. I wouldn't be disappointed if that's the case, but do you guys think that would hinder Damon Arnett if he's not starting? I don't think it necessarily would hinder him. Maybe it'll give him less confidence. That's probably all it would potentially do. Either way, let's jump into the next topic, man. Cleveland Ferrell also had a presser today, Cleveland Ferrell said, all of us are tired of losing. It's not just the fact that we're losing. It's the fact we right there to the playoffs and we just can't get over the hump. Do you guys agree with that? Because I love that attitude, right? I love the fact that he's tired of losing. Now, when he says all of us are tired of losing, I don't know if it's actually talked about. If it is, I would love to know who specifically talks about it. But if I was in the locker room, I would hate losing as well, because it is tiring, man. When you go to Clemson, when you go to Alabama and you win at almost every single game, and then you come to the Raiders and you're losing, you go 4-6 or whatever our record was in the division or in the non-division games. It's definitely something you think about. I'm excited because I want to see what other players think. I want to know if they think the same way Cleveland thinks. All right, Cleveland's saying it's not just the fact that we're losing; it's the fact that we're right there. We're right there in the playoffs, and we just can't get over the hump, because that's what it is, right? The last 2 seasons, we start off 6-3, and then we finish 7-9 or 8-8. That shit's not acceptable, man. You have to win. You have to get over that hump, and you have to make the playoffs. We have too much invested in this team. 7 first-round picks since John Gruden's been here. That's a lot of freaking picks, right? 7 first-round picks. Now, here's the thing. Those guys are now just entering, right? Colton Miller's entering his 4th season. Colton Miller's obviously a pretty good football player. I think we all kind of agree with that. At the same time, you have guys like Mullen and Abram and Josh Jacobs and Cleveland Ferrell. Those guys are entering their 3rd year, and the 3rd year is the prove it year. Now, one of the things I will say is Arnett gets an extra, or not Arnett, I take that back. Abram gets an extra year because Abram missed his whole entire rookie year. So, and I know some people might disagree with that, but Jonathan Abram didn't play his rookie year, so that year does not count. So Jonathan Abram, in my opinion, is technically still entering his 2nd year. But regardless, 2nd, 3rd year, those are the years to prove it. Derek Morales left a $5 super chat without a comment. I really appreciate the fact that you left the super chat. If you had a comment, I would have loved to read your comments. If you guys have comments, man, let me know in the comments below, man. I really want to know what you guys think. I really appreciate any super chats. It really does help this channel. Just today, I uploaded 2 film studies. I actually mentioned this earlier. So I'm going on a trip this tomorrow. And I have 2 film studies that I've already uploaded. They're at the moment, they're private, but they'll be released on Friday and Saturday. They've already both been demonetized, man. And that shit's so annoying, and it ticks me off because it doesn't always happen, but it does happen on the film studies more often. Either way, it is what it is, right? If you guys have comments, questions, let me know in the comments below. NN said, Sanjit, do you think we overpaid for Miller's new contract? Was it just right, or was it a steal? That's a great question, man. That is a great question. Because I do want to talk about that. I was actually on Raid the Tapes channel just a little while ago, literally an hour ago. And we talked about this. We talked about Colton Miller. We talked about his contract. I think for and this is such a loaded answer, and I apologize if you guys don't like this answer, but I think it's a good contract in the terms of he's not a top 10 offensive tackle, right? Colton Miller is not that yet. But he is on that trajectory, right? He could become a top 10 offensive tackle in the next 2 to 3 years. I think Colton Miller, from his rookie season, right, the things we needed him to develop, his strength was one of those things we needed him to get better at. He got way stronger going into year 4. He's just bigger. He's stronger. He had some things you can't teach, right? You can't tell Trent Brown become quicker, move your feet better, go pull to the right and go block a corner, go downfield and go hit a safety. You cannot tell Trent Brown to do that. You can't teach Trent Brown to do that. You can't ask Trent Brown to do that because that was never his game. Colton Miller has that in his game. You can never take that away. Unless he has some sort of injury, you can't take away his quickness. And that was why the Raiders got him, and he still has that today. And he's developed that quickness into being able to make so many great blocks, right? When it comes to zone blocking, specifically backside zones, front side zones, he does a great job. Doubling and getting up to that next level, he does a great job. Getting to that 3 technique and getting to the inside of him, he does a great job, but he does struggle with power blocking. When it comes down to when he needs to block a guy and he needs to seal a guy off, he struggles with it. I don't know why it is. Some guys are just built differently. You can't expect every player to be great in every single situation. It doesn't work like that. The NFL is literally one of those sports where you can get a guy who's just solely a pass rusher and he can make a career out of it. A guy who's solely a pass blocker, playing offense tackle, and he'll make a career out of it, right? In the NFL, it's not so much about what a guy sucks at. It's more of what a guy does great. And you want to put that guy in position to do great. And I talked about this, and I think one of the reasons why the Raiders moved on from Rodney Hudson, Gabe Jackson, and Trent Brown is because last year specifically, we were running zone power, and we were going back and forth. And in the later half of the season, especially, we were running power way more than we're comfortable with. And I feel like that led to Josh Jacobs getting hit in the backfield a ton. It led to us not having success in the run game. When it comes to Colton Miller being a zone guy, Andre James is a zone guy. At the same time, Richie Incognito is a zone guy. So if you want to have success, get a zone right tackle and a zone right guard. And Alex Leatherwood is the zone guy, in my opinion. Now, he can do both because he's so strong. And I don't know how me talking about Colton Miller spiraled into this whole conversation about zone blocking and all this good stuff. But ultimately, I think Colton Miller's contract was just right. I think we're paying him $14 million in I think his third and fourth year of his contract, or in 3 and 4 years. That's a steal, man. That's a huge steal. But at the same time, I think Colton Miller also understands. I think Gruden and Mayock have probably explained to him that you're not a top 10 tackle right now. This first contract is going to be just right. And I think it makes sense from both sides of it. I see a lot of comments from you guys, and I really appreciate it. Congratulations to, where'd that comment go? Temp said, what's up, Sanji? I just graduated high school. First and foremost, congratulations on graduating high school. But high school is not a big deal. You need to figure out what you're going to do next. If it's college, graduate college, man. That's a huge deal. And I'm not saying high school is not necessarily a big deal, but you're at the time in your life where your life can go uphill or it can go downhill. The choices you make are going to impact the rest of your life, man. Don't make bad decisions. Don't make the wrong decisions. Make sure you make the right decisions. Congratulations, though, man, on graduating high school. And Raider Nation's awesome, man. Watts Raider, a couple other people are saying congrats to him as well. A huge shout out to all of you guys, man, for showing Raider Nation some love. But yeah, man, definitely consider what you're going to do with the rest of your life, because you're no longer 17, right? You're no longer a child or however, right, the technical term is, under the age of 18. You're an adult now. So definitely make the right decisions in life. Got a couple other questions. Raiders 75-28. Sanjit T, how would you feel if the Raiders were looking at Matt Ryan next season? I would be very disappointed if the Raiders were looking at Matt Ryan. Now, if the Raiders were looking at another quarterback, I don't have an issue with that if that's what John Gruden felt. But it has to be the right quarterback. From Derek Carr to Matt Ryan, I feel like that's almost a downgrade. So I definitely would not want to do that. I think the Raiders would be mistaken if they thought like Matt Ryan's going to do anything special for the Raiders. Honestly, the Falcons probably had a better defense. Matt Ryan probably had better weapons than Derek Carr did last year, but yet Matt Ryan, I believe, won less games. So either way, I would definitely not consider that. Let's get into this next and final topic, and of course we'll get into the comments as well after we talk a little bit about this. But before we get into Jonathan Abram playing strong safety, believing it's his strength, hit that thumbs up button, man. 352 of you guys, according to what I'm seeing. I don't know what the actual numbers are on YouTube, but yeah, man, I think Jonathan Abram is going to be a great football player this year. If you guys did not see the presser, by the way, go check it out. It's on the Raiders webpage. The one and only thing the Raiders YouTube, I should say, the only thing Raiders YouTube gets right is putting these pressers out. Outside of that, they do not put out good content, man. Literally, all you guys have to do is just record the offensive line. Like, just record them for an hour, man, and we'll watch that. And that's like the best content you guys can put out there. But putting out like videos, like hype, like production, no one cares about that stuff, man. At least I don't care. That does nothing for me, right? I want to see all the little details. But Jonathan Abram had a presser today, and Jonathan Abram said he's glad he gets to play strong safety in Gus Bradley's scheme. So for those guys that don't know, Gus Bradley is going to align Jonathan Abram on the line of scrimmage or within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage 95% of the time. Jonathan Abram last year played split safety, which means he lined up 10 to 15 yards away from the line of scrimmage. So basically, we're putting him in the box closer to the line of scrimmage. And we're going to say, go make tackles. Go get into the run fits and go hit a quarterback on a blitz. Go do things around the line of scrimmage. And that's what Abram believes his strength is. Jonathan Abram himself thinks his biggest strength is his ability to play strong safety in the box. And I couldn't disagree with that. Like, do you guys think Jonathan Abram is going to be a better strong safety than he will ever be as a split safety or free safety? I think so. He's not the fastest. He has great football awareness, right? If there's one trait that Jonathan Abram brings, it's his football awareness. It's how he, it's his key and diagnosis of the game of football, right? Jonathan Abram will read a play quicker than most people. Jonathan Abram will know what's coming before Nick Kwiatkowski will know what's coming. Jonathan Abram has great football awareness. Things that you just can't teach, right? Like, you can tell a player what to do. You can show him how to do it. But at some point, he has to put the helmet on. He has to put the pads on. And he has to go and do it. And I think Jonathan Abram is the guy that knows how to do it and do it well. And when you line him up around the line of scrimmage, I think he's going to make those plays, man. I'm very pumped up to see how he fits within this system. I'm very excited to see how he's going to be utilized with the Gus Bradley system. If I had to guess, right, what his statistical categories will be, I think he gets close to 100 total tackles. I think last year he had 83-ish, or maybe it was 86 tackles. He had a lot of tackles last year, so I think he'll get close to 100, especially since now he'll be playing in the box full time. Actually, I think he'll hit over 100, right? What's 100 divided by 17 games, right? That's not that many tackles, like six tackles a game. Maybe it's less than that. I don't know. My math's all over the place, but I think he's going to have over 100 tackles. I think he'll have 3 or 4 interceptions. I do think Jonathan Abram, maybe not 4, but I think Jonathan Abram can get 3 interceptions. Again, we have one extra game, right? So it is going to allow a guy to have more statistics. I think the thing that Jonathan Abram is going to do this year that he did not do last year is I think he's going to have more sacks. I think Jonathan Abram is going to have 4, 5, 6 sacks. I think he's going to be hitting quarterbacks all the freaking time. And here's why, right? My comp of Jonathan Abram has always been Jamal Adams, right? Jamal Adams, when he went to the Seahawks, and even before he got to the Seahawks, was putting up 10-plus sacks, right? Like in a season. He was hitting quarterbacks nonstop. And the reason why is because they were lining him up in the box, on the line of scrimmage, over tight ends. And he was able to blitz. And when you have a guy lined up in the box 95% of the time, he's basically a linebacker, but he's not really a linebacker. He's on the outside. So it's a little bit harder for offensive linemen to block him. You really have to plan every single play that he could come. And he's going to blitz more this year. So I do think with that, I do think Jonathan Abram is going to have more sacks. I think he'll have more quarterback hits. Even last year, he had a ton of quarterback hits. Like, if you guys put a film on, he blitzed a lot last year too. Not a lot, but he did blitz. I think he'll have more success this year. I'm pumped up to watch it, man. I'm really, really pumped up to watch it. William said your math is on point there, Sanji. I appreciate you confirming that, because sometimes I don't know. And I'm pretty good at math, right? So I can do a lot of math in my head. You guys can ask me what's like 27 times 17, and I'll figure that out in like 10 seconds, right? But yeah, man, I appreciate all the freaking comments. I appreciate all of the things you guys are saying. There was a comment that was saying, Aaron said, I bet you, Sanjit, that Joseph starts at free safety. And you said over Merrick, which is a very interesting point. I don't know if that's going to happen, man. I don't know, because right now I do believe that and I should take that back, right? I don't want to say that it was out there, but I do feel like I heard something to the tune of the fact that Trayvon Merrick is the starter. Now, don't quote me on that, right? But what do you guys think? Trayvon Merrick or Carl Joseph, who starts at free safety? I wouldn't be surprised if Carl Joseph starts, but I would be disappointed, right? Because that would talk more of the fact that Trayvon Merrick is not that good of a football player, right? Or at least he's not ready, right? But ultimately, I would like for him to start. We had a super chat. I almost missed it, and I apologize. Ferrell from the East left a $5 super chat. Huge shout out to you. I guess I kind of got into this just talking about Jonathan Abram, but since we're on the topic anyways, do you think Abram will have a good year at strong safety? Do you think Edwards and Ruggs will step up this year? Ruggs might be a bust early, and Edwards always hurt. Great question, man. That's a couple of different questions. Let's get into it, though. Let's get into it. If you guys leave a super chat, you know I'm going to answer it before ending the video. I will always answer you guys' super chats. So shout out to you for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Do you think Abram will have a good year at strong safety? I do, right? I kind of just got into it, how I think Jonathan Abram's going to have a fantastic year at strong safety this year. I think he's going to have a huge impact. I think people this year, specifically in the media, not the Raider fans, not the people that are here, the 360-ish of you guys that are watching this video, you guys know that I'm huge on Jonathan Abram. And I'm sure a lot of you guys, like Abram. Some of you guys might not like Abram. But the media has kind of killed Jonathan Abram. The media narrative, anyways, has killed Jonathan Abram. But this is the year that media narrative is going to change. This year specifically, you're going to start seeing I don't know the announcers, right? Like, I don't know who the guys are, but those announcers, the media guys, the NFL networks, the ESPNs, these guys are going to start talking about Jonathan Abram, and they're going to start saying that this guy's a superstar in the making. They're going to start throwing his name up there. The same way they did with Budda Baker last year. A lot of people still don't know Budda Baker is one of the best safeties in the league. They're going to start doing that with Jonathan Abram this year. But I think a lot of people still are going to not 100% know. But I think within the next 2 to 3 years, Jonathan Abram will be looked at as a top-tier safety, especially if Gus is still here and his system works. I think his system works if Jonathan Abram has success. I think it's such a big part to the system. Do you think Edwards and Ruggs will step up this year? Ruggs might be a bust early, and Edwards is always hurt. I appreciate the comment. I really do. You guys know this. If you guys have been watching my videos, I was never high on Henry Ruggs, right? I've always said this. Speed is overrated. It's the most overrated part of playing football, especially at wide receiver. Not football, but wide receiver specifically. The reason why is because Tyreek Hill, his speed is great. But when it comes to running straight, he might not be faster than Henry Ruggs. Henry Ruggs might be a faster player when it comes to running straight. But the thing that makes Tyreek Hill different is when Tyreek Hill stops himself, when Tyreek Hill turns to his right and runs, stops himself, and then runs to the left, and he gets from 0 to 100 super quickly. His change of direction is top-notch. Those don't get measured in a 40-yard dash, right? That's different. I had Henry Ruggs as my wide receiver number 7. And I can't change that, right? I put that out on Twitter, right? So if you guys search me, my name and Henry Ruggs, you guys will see that people have retweeted that tweet, Raider fans specifically, to mock me, right? Guys with, thousands of Twitter followers, Raider fans on Twitter have retweeted my tweet, especially when like Ruggs caught that touchdown against the Jets to win the game. I did a film study. I know there was a guy out there that like retweeted my rankings of Henry Ruggs as my wide receiver 7. But the thing is the 6 guys I had ahead of Henry Ruggs, 5 of those 6 guys, you guys are going to agree are better, at least right now. I had CeeDee Lamb as my number 1 wide receiver, Jerry Jeudy as my number 2 wide receiver, T. Higgins as my number 3 wide receiver, Brandon Ayuk of the Niners as my number 4, Justin Jefferson as my number 5, and I think all 5 of those guys right now are better than Henry Ruggs. Tell me if you guys disagree with that. But Jalen Reagor was my number 6 wide receiver, and he's the only guy that I think Henry Ruggs might be better than. They're kind of equal so far. They really haven't had a lot of success. I think Bryan Edwards is going to be better than Henry Ruggs. Like, I really feel that Bryan Edwards has a higher he has a higher ceiling, right? One of the things that people don't think about is Bryan Edwards would have been a first-round pick had he not gotten hurt, right? So always keep that in mind. I see a lot of super chats coming in. Again, I really, really appreciate it. So let's get into these. Derek Morales, Sanjit, love your content, man, and the collabs you're doing with the other channels. Start a podcast. Keep the vids coming, brother. I really appreciate that. Give me some podcast ideas, man. Like, I already go live here where I spend like an hour-ish every Wednesday and Sunday, and I talk football. I answer you guys' questions. I'll bring 3 or 4 of my own topics onto the show. If I were to start a podcast, like how would that flow, right? Would it just be the same thing as this where I'm kind of just talking? At the same time, would it be more of you just want me to take these videos and put the audio on like Spotify? Because I've thought about that and I could absolutely do that. And that is something I might do. I appreciate the $5 super chat, and I appreciate the fact that you enjoyed the collabs with other YouTubers, Raider YouTubers. Isaiah left a whatever those 2 numbers are. I can't do math like that. That's too much, man. You give me some simple math, and I could probably do that. Todd Clemens said, for sure, Joseph is insurance. I totally agree with you. Nick 209 said, Sanjit, will I see you at the Raider Niner preseason? I didn't mention this. I do think I might go to that game, man. Or if you guys are in the Bay Area or maybe outside the Bay Area, are you guys going to go to the Raider Niners preseason game? Because I'm thinking like Raider Nation, man, we can make that game like 90% Raider fans. Because think about it, most Niner fans don't care. They can go to any regular season game. They can go to the other 2 preseason games. It really doesn't matter to them, right? For us, on the other hand, it's the only game if you're in Northern California that you can go to where it's like, you know, you don't have to spend the whole entire day or week out somewhere, right? If I do plan to go to that, I will definitely make sure I post it. And then maybe I'll set up like a table, and then maybe I'll get some food, and then you guys can all come by and we'll hang out, have a couple of beers, right? And just kind of hang out and talk. I think that would be kind of cool. See if I can get some other content creators from this area. You know, I'm sure my brother would be down to go. So I appreciate the super chat. I really, really do. Todd Clements, thank you for the $10 super chat, as well as being a member to the channel. Thank you for the great Raider content. Alex Leatherwood will be an all-pro tackle in 2 years. That is a great thing to say, man, because I don't disagree with it. I think he has to develop for sure. He has to get used to the game speed. I think the one thing Leatherwood could struggle with early on is he might struggle in pass protection. And I think that's the only part that he would potentially struggle in. Also, Todd, shout out to you for putting up a picture right there, right? For the longest time, you did not have an image because I would always see you. And shout out to you for putting that image up. You know, one of the things I want to say to all of you guys out there, if you guys don't have an image up on your YouTube channel, get an image up, man, of yourselves. Maybe it's just a Raider theme or Raider picture. Get an image up, man. I'm more active on YouTube than I am on any other social media platform, right? If one of the Raider content creators go live, I'm on that. Rather it's they make a video, I'll be in the comments. I will always be in every single one of those videos. And I spend more time on YouTube than I do on Instagram or Twitter, right? So shout out to you especially for getting that picture up. I'm going to assume that's a picture with you and your wife. So shout out to you. We're up over an hour at this point. I appreciate every single one of you guys, man. You know, in this video specifically, I was going to have Kenny King on. He had some obligations that came up, so he wasn't able to come on. So I hope to have him on soon. I'm going to be going live again on Sunday. Hopefully I'm back by Sunday. I think I should be. But hit that thumbs up button, man. There's over 375 of you guys here. I love to interact with every single one of you guys, so I appreciate the super chats, the comments in general. I hope you guys all have a great week, man. I'll have a video coming tomorrow. It'll be a 20-minute, or I'll be breaking down the 20-minute video of OTAs. So we have another video of OTAs. I'll break that down tomorrow, Friday and Saturday. I have some film studies coming. So be on the lookout for that. I hope you guys all have a great day. And I'll see you guys next time with another video.